And I know that's controversial. A lot of my friends also think it's quite controversial. And that's the beauty of life. Take the good from everything, leave the stuff that you don't need, and then just enjoy it as well. Life's too short. I wasn't too keen with all of this gender equality, sex education stuff that's being taught, like believe in freedom. Honestly, some days are amazing and other days are, I just want to break as well.
Welcome to today's episode of I'm Fine But. Today I am joined by Harsimrat. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
So we are going to find out a little bit about what you do. If you could please tell our listeners what you do and the people you serve.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Harsimrat Kaur. I'm the founder of Nirmola Kira. Nirmola Kira is a Punjabi word and it means priceless diamond. And I help adults and families learn the Punjabi language online in a fun and practical way. Basically, in short, teach people how to reconnect with their mother tongue, with their Punjabi language.
Amazing. And do you teach people from all different walks of life? What's the background of most people that are learning?
I actually have a big range. So in terms of geography, UK, Canada, and Australia is quite big, but also East Africa, Tanzania, Nairobi, that which actually really surprised me. In terms of ethnicity, a lot of obviously Punjabi, so particularly Sikhs or Hindu Punjabis, but I have a lot of non-Punjabis as well who have now married into a Punjabi family, which is actually quite interesting for especially being in a multiracial, multicultural world now. People want to connect with the other side of the family and they want to be able to understand that language and really connect. So it's opened up a whole new, you don't have to wait for someone to translate now. You can actually learn it yourself. It's been really amazing.
Yeah, because sometimes we have things so easy, especially with AI and Google Translate. You can actually translate things quite easily, but it's really nice to have that skill set yourself to be able to communicate with people. So for you, you are a mum. How many children have you got?
I've got two. I've got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old.
So you are in the thick of raising your children. And
absolutely.
The thing that I find really special about you is that you are home educating your children.
Yeah, I am. So we literally were out at the library this morning, met up with some other home educating families. We did our phonics and our writing. Then went to play in the park, and then I nicely handed off them to my husband as I got back home so we can have a chat.
So what brought this decision to homeschool your children?
There was a couple of things, really. One was I wanted to be actually part of their education rather than them just handing them off to school and being like, okay, you're going to learn there and I'm going to just see pieces of things. I wanted to actually be a part of it. Like my eldest wrote his name for the first time. So his name's Simmer. And he actually wrote the whole Simmer for the first time without any dots. And I was like, if he had done that at school, I wouldn't have been able to really see it and experience it. So that was my first reason. My second reason was a little bit more personal. I wasn't too keen with all of this gender equality, sex education stuff that's being taught, like believe in freedom. One of the Sikh values, I'm a Sikh by faith, is we fight for each other's rights. But I also think there has to be an age limit. And I've heard from some schools that they've been teaching as young as 5. If you want to change your gender, then you can just ask your parents. And I was like, actually, if that's just a bit too young for me personally. So for me, that was one of the biggest reasons that I was like, actually, maybe I keep them home a little bit and I'll teach them when I feel is right. I feel like as a parent, I should have that choice to teach them when I feel is right rather than it being dictated by the government.
That is a very interesting point and something that I've not heard as young as 5 being brought into schools. And it's a very popular topic at the moment. It's a very diverse, opinionated topic within the schools. It's a really great example of actually putting your beliefs first and going, I want to showcase my beliefs, because I know my children have go to a C of E school, so a Church of England school, and we are not religious. We're not Christians. We've got no connection to the church, but we live in a very small village and that is our school.
Local school,
and I know and I know sometimes when they come back and they, especially around Christmas or big festival times, I sometimes struggle with what the teachers have told them because it's not our family beliefs and it's not my personal beliefs. And I have to often say to the children, this is person's or this teacher's belief or the school's belief. You don't necessarily have to believe that. And that's very conflicting to children because then but the teacher told me that this was true and they told me that Jesus was reborn. And it's having that conflict of information that you're passing on to your children and you want them to respect every belief possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, part of our homeschooling, I've already introduced like different religions, different ways of life, different family groups, but using the words and the way that I think my child will learn best rather than it being dictated by someone else. I've got a lot of friends that are teachers, and it doesn't really matter what the topic is. It could be English, math, science, or it could be like this more PSHE, that physical, social, health, education bit. There's always going to be a conflict of how someone teaches, and it might be different to how a parent might want to teach it. So, yeah, that was basically one of the biggest reasons. But also, I just wanted to be part of their lives. I was like, they're going to be young for just like a tiny amount of time. And I just wanted to be part of their life.
And that's really admirable. And I put my hands down to you because I actually quite enjoy the break. I find for me personally, maybe that's a selfish way to come from it, but I do actually think that I mentally need that. And how do you find that? How do you find having, you are full time around small people? How do you find that you can cope with that?
Honestly, some days are amazing and other days are I just want to break as well. I think that's the best way to explain it. There are some days where we'll wake up, we have a plan, we've got all of our energy out, and it's gone really amazing. I think, yes, this is perfect. And then there's other days where I'm pulling my hair out and I'm like, please, can you just write your name again? I know you can do it. Or please, can you do your homework? Or please, can you do playing for 5 minutes while I can have a shower? Like, it's those little moments that can be overwhelming and exhausting as well. But you've got to have a look at any, I guess, opportunity, any environment with a whole, right? What's the main reason? The main reason was I wanted my kids to learn the way that they want to learn. Obviously, my youngest is 2, so he's very much just playing at the moment. But my eldest, he's a very visual learner. He loves to do things with his hands, with his fingers. So when we learned like the letters, for example, we'd use clay and we'd make the letters. Whereas in school, he'd be restricted to pen, pencil, maybe whiteboards, that kind of stuff. And I can understand that teaching a group of 30 versus teaching one to one, I can personalize his learning. We can go out whenever we want, go to the library, go to places of worship, go to the park, any groups that we want to, and learn the way that we want. So it's exhausting. It takes a lot of preparation, a lot of thinking, but overall it's really positive and I'm really enjoying the journey, to be honest.
Harrisma, I am in total awe of you because that takes so much patience, so much planning, so much dedication to do that alongside building a business. So, talk to me a little bit about how you fit your business into this lifestyle that you've created.
Yeah, absolutely. So when my eldest in particular, was small, my husband still goes to the office, has the normal 9 to 5, 9 to 6 job. I always said to my husband, I don't want it to be the point where my son goes to sleep by 6 and you basically only see him on a weekend. I felt like actually, just as my son has a great relationship with me, he has to have an amazing relationship with his dad as well. So I push bedtime later. And I know that's controversial. A lot of my friends also think it's quite controversial. My kids don't go to sleep till about 9 p.m., even at 5 and 2. But I'm okay with it. And so is my husband, because it means by the time my husband gets home at 7, we actually pray together, we eat together, we chill together, and then we both do the bedtime routine. And it works for us. But then that also means the morning routine is delayed. So rather than getting up at 6 a.m., which I know a lot of children naturally wake up quite early, my kids don't usually wake up till about 9, 10, 10:30 sometimes. My little one might be hitting near 11 because obviously being a 2-year-old, sometimes he needs his full 12 hours. So then that means I can get up at 6, 7, do my prayers and all the stuff that I want to do and do my business while they're still asleep. And that's how I balance, I guess, the business side to the home education and the family side as well. Now, when my kids were a lot younger, obviously I didn't have that guaranteed nap time in the morning. So it was about, I guess, being practical with myself. What can I get done? How much do I push myself? And how much do I say, actually, it's going to go on my to-do list and I'll do it later? So I have to be a little bit practical, a little bit realistic as well. And just say, you know what, It's something that I really want to do, but right now I can't, and that's okay. So I think that's probably the best way that I can explain how we try and manage everything.
That is just having that foresight to be going, okay, this works for us as a family. I'm not going to be controlled by social expectations. This is what works for us. I mean, I can't preach about children's bedtime. My children, they are all over the place. They've never really slept very well. And I'm quite open about that, we've really struggled with that part of it. And you sound like you have got everything completely together.
Honestly, it's not together. It just sounds like that because we have an idea of what we want to do, but then we're flexible through the day. And yesterday my eldest woke up at 7 and decided, "Mommy, I want to pray with you." I was like, "All right, then come and pray." And then randomly he was tired by 11 because obviously he hadn't had his full sleep. So then he went back to sleep and he slept for a couple of hours. And I was like, that's fine. The day's gone different. Obviously, he's not going to be studying as much. Okay, we'll do it in the evening instead, and we'll just mix it and match it a little bit. And I think the word that you use, patience, really important, especially with a 5 and a 2-year old. And the other bit is flexibility. Just have a rough plan, but don't be so rigid that actually if the child wants to do something else or his body's telling, just like ourselves, like we feel tired, we're going to slow down. We feel hungry, we're going to say, okay, I need to take a break and eat. A child also needs that moment to just be able to listen to their body and be able to tell you as a parent what they need. And that's what I'm trying to, and hopefully will be successful in, trying to teach my children, like, listen to your body. If it says slow down, go and rest. If it says, okay, time, I've got some energy, let's go out and play. If it's time to concentrate, that's the time to concentrate. And just trying to make them a little bit more self-aware, a little bit independent as well. But yeah, let's see. I don't think there's a right and wrong way of parenting. I don't think there's a rule book or anything like that. It's a little bit of just trying to do the best that we can in the limited knowledge that we have or the experiences that we've seen.
Yeah, we're all definitely just doing the best that we can. So you've built a business, and from what you said, your business then reflects your lifestyle. So how much flexibility do you have in your business? Do you plan your day out in advance, or does it have to be planned and scheduled around the children?
It's 100% planned and scheduled around the kids. So I will do, for example, as many as tuitions or teaching as I can in the morning when I know the little ones are probably more asleep, or like the little ones, he's still breastfeeding. So my 2-year-old is sometimes in my arms. I'll tilt my camera up and I'll just feed him I say underneath the table, but like out of camera view. So my students don't know, or I tell them what's happening. It's not an issue. Majority of my students in the morning are adults, so they get it. They might be parents, or they might be a little bit more mature anyway. So that's what I do. Then I have a gap where I can do like breakfast, set up the day, do some activities. Well, the weather's not that great in the UK, but whenever the weather's great, go out and about. Then I'll start again in the afternoon when I know actually the kids can sit and do some playing with themselves or whatever it might be. And then when my husband comes home, we'll switch and my husband takes over and they get daddy time. And I literally call it daddy bonding time. And then I can get on with like some of my group courses that I do in the evening. So that's how we kind of balance it.
What if things go wrong? Because I think for me, I've learned massively, especially when we were in the COVID times, like we were trying to record our stuff and we did a 24-hour fitness like marathon, but part of our program is children's yoga, so we were asked to be part of that, and they were like, it's going to be live, and the nerves in me of having to get my children to be ready at this time and to join in and to behave and to be part of it was huge. I was like, but they're not going to behave how I need them to behave for this hour. So how do you combat if you've got, say, a call scheduled and you've got a child having a tantrum? How do you manage that as a business owner?
It's really difficult, but anytime I sign up a new student, I'm always 100% transparent with them. I say I'm a working mom, and that means I have 2 kids. So sometimes I'll message them and I'll be like, I'm just running 5 minutes late. And because I've given them that pre-warning of, things are going to happen, things are going to be unexpected. My kids are 100% going to come and say hi to you, or Sat Sri Akal, as we say in Punjabi. Just say hi and then they'll disappear. They just want a moment of your time. And I have to be transparent. I have to lay it on the table. And there has been a few clients who've said to me, you know what, I can't learn like this. I need pin drop silence. I basically need your kids out of the area. And I said, I'm sorry, I was very upfront with you. Maybe I can refer you to another tutor. And I have done that once or twice. But 99% of my clients and my students are like, absolutely fine. And they find my kids so hilarious because obviously my kids naturally know Punjabi really well. So then they're like, oh, your 5-year-old speaks better than me. So it's a nice way to kind of like bring it in. But yeah, if they have tantrums, yesterday I was on my own. My husband was working till 11 p.m. So I literally said to my group session, like, I might need to pause if the kids need a toilet break, if they have a tantrum. My little one did. He broke his train set. So I just said, I'm just going to need 2 minutes. Grab yourself a drink or a snack. And I always make the time up. And I think it's just that transparency, being open and making it normal.
Yes.
And you're right. You mentioned social media and society having this stigma of what it is to be a perfect parent or what you should do. Don't go on Instagram. I don't hardly go on Facebook. I post things, or more my virtual assistant does for me. Get so much anxiety feeling and seeing what other parents are doing. I just turned it off now. I unfollowed a lot of my friends and mums and groups and things like that because I want to just be present. I don't want to copy, if that makes sense. And that's the only way I can make my business and my family work, by just seeing what works for us and then being transparent about it.
That is such a brilliant concept, because part of being a mum running a business is that we shouldn't need to hide the fact that we are mums. We shouldn't need to feel like we are effectively putting our children in another room and being like, you need to be really quiet because I'm on a meeting. And I know that this was a conversation that me and my husband had during COVID, and there was meetings, and he was like, the children need to be out the way, they can hear them. And it was, well, we can't hide the fact that we've got children and our children are at home. I mean, for us, it was a force, they're at home, but you can't hide that fact. And we've had, franchisees that come on meetings that when they've had interviews, they've brought their babies with them, because it's such a part of you as a human being that we don't need to pretend that they're not there. We can just acknowledge that the fact, exactly like you said, I am a mum and I have got my children here. I did think for a second when I asked about tantrums, you were going to say, my children don't have tantrums.
No, they 100% have tantrums. I wish they didn't have tantrums. No.
But that is part of being a parent, and it's part of the obstacles of being a parent, and also the obstacles of running a business as well, of how transparent you have to be with people. And in that instance that you had where, your toddler broke his train set and he had a meltdown, because in your toddler's eyes, that's a monumental thing that happen. The world's just
end of the world. Yeah, absolutely.
How did you as a woman, how did you as a mother deal with that situation? Because I know for me, my stress levels and panic would have been going up, 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 and up. How do you find that you deal with that?
If you had asked me a year ago, I would have been panic, like literally panic. The world has ended. Oh my God, what do I do? And I wouldn't have been able to manage it. About a year ago, I was introduced to a course called One Healing, and it's how to regulate your nervous system, not just for kids, but just in general, anxiety, that kind of thing. And they taught me something called sober. There's this lady called Mandeep Kaur. She's a chaplain in the British Army, but on her side hustle, she does basically helps women like me to just regulate and be more present in life, because life's too short. And she taught me something called sober, which is stop, observe, breathe, check your environment, and then respond. Now, it's hard to do, and I've had to do a lot of practice in moments when I probably don't even need it. But I've had to, and literally in that moment, I stopped. I observed my breathing. I observed all of the emotions. Then I took a huge breath, and then I checked my environment. I said, everything's safe. Nothing's broken. Nothing's ended. And then I responded. And because I've been practicing it a lot, it's getting easier. And I'm not perfect at it by any means necessary. Last week, I totally failed and I should have used it. Yesterday was a moment where I did it really well, where I just stopped, quickly took a breath, responded to my students, and I said, guys, I just need 2 minutes like I warned you at the beginning. I went to go sort him out, gave him a hug, and came back and then continued the lesson. And yeah, it's going to be on the recording. It's going to go onto the portal. So what? Like, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, it's taken me, and I think it's going to be a whole life journey of stopping, breathing, and responding in the right way where I can. It's going to be, I'm going to have my good days and my bad days. I'm not going to say that it's always easy, but it's definitely something that we can just continue, or I can continuously practice.
Yeah. And even the fact that you can acknowledge as well that, there is times when you don't respond the way that you feel like in hindsight, you go, I shouldn't have responded like that. And I know that we've done it with our children and sort of had to sit down with them afterwards and go, okay, I didn't respond in the best way possible to that, but that's also part of being a human and part of learning and showing that to other people as well. And I do feel like we get into a habit of only showing that positive side and only showing the correct way to do it or the
Yeah.
right way to do it, rather than going, actually, we do mess up sometimes and that's just part of the process. So for you, where do you see your parenting journey and your business developing from here?
So hopefully my business, because my son is now compulsory school age, as they call it, so he's over 5, I need to focus more on that than my business. So what I've done is I've changed my business slightly. I've hired tutors to take on some more of my one-to-one clients, and I'm primarily just going to try and do my group sessions in the evening. What that means is I get more time in the day to take him to the park, take him to the library, home education groups, anything like that. He's asked today to go swimming, and I was like, today's not possible, but I will make a plan to take you swimming. I know he really enjoys it. So little things like that, I think that's really important for me and for a business. From a parenting point of view, I don't know, if I'm honest, if I'll home educate forever. It's definitely something I wish to do, but I can't say I will, because you don't know what's going to come up. You don't know what situation's going to happen. I don't know. We just spent 7 months in Punjab, for example, part of our homeschooling journey, a home educating journey. And it was an amazing experience to take him to all of these historical places that my husband's from Punjab originally, like physically seeing like his birth home, where he grew up, his side of the family, which we've never had an opportunity to meet, all of our history as Sikhs in Punjab and across India, the amount of history and geography we learned, that was an amazing experience. But can I do that every year? Can I do it? It's obviously financially not practical. My husband took sabbatical, so we could do that. But now he's back in the office. How much can we do? So I'm just taking it one day at a time, if I'm honest with you, just like any other parent, seeing how it goes. If it means at one point I do need to send them to school, then I'll think about it. It's not a off the table. But right now, this is the journey that we're on, and I'm just trying to enjoy it and making sure that they enjoy it too.
That's such a lovely philosophy to have. So, if we've got people who are listening, we've got lots of women who haven't even started a business yet or are just in the early stages of starting a business, and maybe they actually would love to homeschool or they are homeschooling, what one little nugget of advice could you give them from somebody who is doing it and doing it successfully?
For me, the biggest thing is community. Surround yourself with people who are already doing it. So I have 2 business mentors that I absolutely love. One is Rupinder Kaur. She works with South Asian women, and literally her business name is called Asian Women Mean Business. And she supports Asian women to make businesses out of whatever skill, passion, or even if they are in the corporate world, to be a voice in that corporate world as well. So she has been an amazing support for me to like grow and even be confident enough. Like if you'd met me a year ago, I would have said, no, I'm not coming on your podcast. I'm not going to talk about my business. But I've been able to like build that confidence. The other person is Lisa Johnson. I find her stuff amazing. Again, a mom, 2 of twins actually, and she's managed to build a business. And they have literally changed my world of how I see my business. And actually, it's not about having everything. It's about doing the things that you need to right now and doing other things later. It's about prioritizing. So surround yourself with the right people and also just follow your passion. Before being a Punjabi tutor, I was in the corporate world. I was a mathematician. I got my master's in mathematics. I worked at huge and small companies, data analytics. But I realized that that didn't marry up with my values. If I was up till 1 a.m. breastfeeding or teething problems or crying baby, my bosses didn't understand and didn't give me that flexibility to be able to just sleep in and work a little bit later. Whereas now, because I'm my own boss, I can just say to my students, I'm really sorry, can I rearrange because X, Y, and Z has happened? And because I've been upfront and honest with them, I feel like it works both ways. And I think that's probably my second biggest thing. If you are a mom and you want to build a business, be honest about it and just say, look, I'm going to give this much, 100% in this. I need you to meet me halfway or 20% of the way. Like if something comes up, I need to cancel, I need to rearrange. Can you be a little bit flexible with me? And I feel like, yeah, if you're transparent and you're honest and you put everything on the table, then your clients also meet you and they do the same.
Yeah, and that's a quality that I don't have, if I'm completely honest. I run evening classes and morning classes, and if there is, anything that comes up, I prioritize and go, but I've committed to this part of my work, my job, and I will then prioritize that. Whereas I think you're completely right in the fact that you have to work out what actually aligns with your core values and to be completely upfront about that initially. I take the guilt of if I have to reschedule something. I think it's very rare. I think I took a week off last minute rescheduling because I had to have my appendix removed. And I think that's a skill set that maybe I need to learn as well, that I need to kind of go, okay, where are the priorities? I don't always need to put everybody else's needs before my own. And it's something that, you've said over the last year that has developed within you. And just quickly take me back as well, because you interestingly said a year ago you wouldn't have applied to come on a podcast like this. What's changed within that year to make you go, do you know what? I can come on this podcast and speak to someone that I've never met before and tell them about my business and parenting journey. What's changed within you?
I think it's the confidence. Two things. It's definitely confidence, and it's also removing toxic people from my life. And I think we don't talk about that enough as parents as well, especially in the Punjabi and the Indian society and community. And I don't know what it's like in other communities. People give helpful, basically unsolicited advice. And it's not helpful all the time. Sometimes it is, but it's not. So for example, I still breastfeed my little one. I breastfed my eldest till he was 3. My little one's 2.5. So many people come to me and says, he doesn't need that now. Why are you still doing it? And I was like, because he hasn't on his own weaned and unlatched, and he needs that comfort. And I also really want to say, and what's it to do with you? But I don't quite have that confidence to say that, because being a Punjabi and a Sikh, we've been taught, like, especially to elders, we have to speak a certain way. But over the last year, to protect my kids, I feel like actually I need to teach them that there's certain no's and boundaries and things that we have to put in place. So when someone does says that to me now, I say, because he wants to, it's still good for him. World Health Organization says up until 2, they should be having it. And of course, after 2 years, he's going to take a year to unwean on his own. So, and it's not about defending yourself. It's about using those opportunities to educate other people. I think that's the best way that I can kind of explain it, like removing this toxicity from my life. So the people who are giving me that unsolicited advice, they might be amazing friends, they might be family, but they don't need to be part of my everyday to ruin like the good energy or the positivity that I have and that energy in my family. And then just practice, practice, and practice. I have on many occasions said to my husband, the kids are asleep. Should we just practice this? And he's been like, again, I'm like, please. The amount of times I've just put my phone up and tried to talk to it and then listen to myself back. And then I've said, oh, this rubbish, delete and do it again. It's just been a lot of practice, practice, and practice. Then I even said the first couple of times to my husband, like when I started doing reels, oh my God, nightmare. I said to my husband, just post it and then hide my phone so I don't delete it. And it went out and it was fine. No one said anything. Everyone was like, oh, that was really good. And I was like, okay, I can do another one, then another one. And it just practice, unfortunately. It's the same when I teach Punjabi and people are like, oh, I'm really nervous to speak. And I'm like, you're going to have to speak and you're going to have to practice, but we're going to start with small sentences first. And I think that's what I did. I started with 30 seconds reels, 1 minute reels, and then now I can come on and do a little bit bigger stuff.
Yeah, and it is just knowing that you are not the end product to start with. Whatever phase of business that you are in, you have to start and you have to accept that it might be a little bit rubbish to start with. Even like you've said with learning a language, you might not pronounce the words correctly the first time, but you have to pronounce them incorrectly to learn how to pronounce them correctly.
Yeah.
And it's just part of the journey, and enjoying that journey and not seeing it as failure, but seeing it as a learning to come from it, to go, okay, I did a reel. I don't have to necessarily watch it back and listen to myself. I need to show every part of me. And even if it's not the perfected part, it can go a little bit wrong. And even the reels that you do and you go, I'm just going to start that again, work really well because it humanizes you. You're not just an AI bot within the Instagram reel. You're actually a human that is communicating with people.
Yeah, something that I've learned through this journey of like one healing is that perfect doesn't exist. And as women, I think in general, where we have, especially in the Punjabi community, we've grown up and taught you have to be perfect, you have to wear the right clothes, you have to say the right things, you have to entertain when people come over and all this kind of stuff. But actually, there is no such thing as perfect. And everyone's way is different. Everyone makes a dish differently. Everyone entertains different. Everyone parents differently. Everyone does a business different. And that's the beauty of life. Take the good from everything, leave the stuff that you don't need. And then just enjoy it as well. Life's too short to not enjoy what we're doing.
Well, thank you so much for speaking to me. You are so inspiring, and I've absolutely loved this conversation. I think our listeners will get so much from your ethos. Please, can you tell everybody where they can find you on social media? Because I want to come and see these lovely reels that you're putting out there.
Yeah, I've got 2 Instagram accounts. One's my personal one, so Harsimrat Kaur Punjabi Tutor. So that's where I put everything about like me and about the family as well, and how we're learning Punjabi. And then my business account is Nirmal Akira. So you can type in Nirmal Akira, or in English, Priceless Diamond.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me on.
You've just listened to I'm Fine But. If you're unsure about business or what really matters to you right now, why not take our free core values course? It's linked in the show notes, and it's a brilliant place to begin. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and you can follow us online at all your favourite social media platforms at Baby Beats UK. Until next time, I'm Rose, and I'm fine. But, honestly, we're all just figuring it out.